Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 16 of the virtual reading fair, which means we have 2 more days left, Thursday, Friday. And how many times we have read? This was our 30,
31st.
31st? Okay.
31st.
The 31st. I see what you're saying. Because yesterday was 30. That's like 15 times 2. Thank you for that math. Okay, 31st reading session.
Don't ask me anything else.
It's been wonderful, and I'm Meredith McGee, and I'm a member of the Book Toasters and the Learn to Shoot Book Club, and I'm a reader and life learner. And thank you so much for everything I've learned from you all, reading all of these different topics. We got to write them down some kind of way. Go back to the chat, and so everybody else can understand.
Mary Hardy, Greenville.
Lynette Stafford, Greenville.
Vicki Jenkins, co-chair of the Community Library of Mississippi.
Dr. Janice New, Vincent, Madison, Mississippi.
Yeah.
Mary Hardy, Greenville.
Okay, Lynette, you already went, huh? Okay, so who wants to read first?
Me.
All right.
I'll read first.
Let's see what you get.
So another one of my finds, Night Golf.
Night Golf.
By William Miller. Mm-hmm. William Miller. Well, you
that
don't
a
have to
novel?
read to find out what it was about.
Is that a novel?
It's no, ma'am.
Oh, that's a children's scholastic book.
Illustrated children's book with some history in it. Okay.
Okay.
By William Miller, illustrated by Cedric Lucas. I'm sorry.
Okay. Night Golf.
So let me read the author's note.
Okay.
Not long ago, professional golf could only be played by white golfers. In fact, throughout most of this century, African Americans were denied the right to play at many private and even public golf courses. The closest most could come to playing golf was to serve as a caddy, carrying heavy bags for others. In some places, a few ingenious African American caddies found a way to swing a club on the green at night under a cloak of darkness. They perfected their skills by striking the ball in the moonlight. A few even excelled at the game, including Charlie Silver. The former caddy became the first African American admitted to the PGA Golf Tour in 1962. More than a decade later, in 1975, Lee Elder, another former caddy, became the first African American to play in the prestigious Masters tournament. In 1997, Tiger Woods, whose father is African American and whose mother is Asian American, won the Masters tournament by the largest stroke margin in its history. And I'll say this about golf, never paid any attention, but my sister who she chased every ball she could on MVP for golf at her high school. I'm still amazed at that one. Okay.
Wow.
All right. James loved sports. More than anything, he wanted to be an athlete, prove he could play something well. But James was too short for basketball, too small to carry a pigskin across the goal line. One morning, he found a golf bag and a garbage can. Inside was a single rusty club, a pack of old balls. In the field behind his house, James hit shot after shot. At first, he couldn't control the ball or the flight of the ball, But the more he practiced, the easier it became to land the ball where he wanted. So that's him. The sun was almost down when his father called to him from the back porch. I'm late for the loading dock, son. You better get inside now. Wait, Dad, I found this old club and I want to show you. That's real nice, James, his father said sadly. I wouldn't get my heart set on playing golf. There's no room for a black man in that game. James didn't understand. All he knew was how good the club felt in his hand, how natural it was to strike the ball. The next day, James took the streetcar to the only golf course in town. There, staring through the fence, he saw what his father was talking about. The golfers were all white men dressed in funny clothes. The only blacks were the men who walked beside them carrying their bags. Can I help you, boy? A white man with a clipboard stood beside him. I want. James was so nervous, he almost turned and ran. You must be here about the dishwasher job. You need to see the dining hall manager. Go around as you're supposed to. James almost did what the man told him. All his life, he had been doing what white men told him to do, but this time was different. I want to carry a bag, James said, like those guys. That's the job I came here for. The man looked at him closely. Well, I'm short of boy too. But being a cat is no easy job, especially for a kid. You've got to keep quiet unless one of the members asks you for something. No one likes a smart mouth caddy. I'll do whatever it takes, James said. I really want to play. I mean, caddy. The man laughed out loud. For a second, I thought you said you wanted to play golf. Hey, boy, this is a game for white folks only. Rich white folks. James spent the rest of the morning waiting for his first round as a caddy. At last, a tall man walked up to him carrying 2 sets of clubs. I'm Charlie, he said with a slow smile. I've been a caddy for 20 years now. I hear you want to be one too. James didn't get a chance to speak. Charlie loaded a heavy bag on his back, then walked off towards the first tee. Now we're gonna stop there and pick up. I finished at this afternoon. It made me, when I read that, it made me remember when I was a kid, we found a golf bag with a bunch of old clubs in it. And you know, we just playing around with it. Think about how important representation is. Maybe if I had seen or had paid attention to a black person playing golf, or a woman playing golf, or a black woman playing golf, or somebody else, white man playing golf, I might would have paid a little bit more attention. So that's why my sister said she was taking up golf. We like, what are you talking about? And then she won MVP. So that's just something I have always remembered.
What year was that book written?
Okay. The context, I'm like 1999. 1999.
Okay. They built the first black golf course in Jackson, 1960. And it's called Shady Oak. That was the neighborhood where Meg Evans was. And
now I remember hearing the name Lee Elder, but you know, that's one man out of, you know, you might pay attention for a minute, but you know, like I said, that's why I say representation matters. It really matters.
And where did he live?
I don't know. I have no clue, but I tell you what, I can do a little research and tell you about him when we come to 215.
Okay, 215. Well, can I read my 2 paragraphs now?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm reading again on Reverend C.T. Vivian. I'm going to read a little bit of uh, Have No Fear, James Charles Evans at 2:15. My book came in. I read this book about, oh, 12 years ago. It's a very good book. And my mother had a house fire and it burnt in her house. So I said, after he passed, I'm gonna get but anyway, here we go. The Jackson Advocate, which is the oldest black-owned newspaper in the city, in the state of Mississippi. And this is the section, remember, legendary civil rights icon, Reverend C.T. Vivian, dies at 95. Okay, so the Reverend Dr. C.T. Vivian was one of my strongest mentors in the civil rights movement. Benjamin Travis said. Reverend Vivian, like Martin Luther King Jr. and Joseph Lowry, was a visionary theologian, genius, and a leading force in the tactical and strategic planning of effective, nonviolent, civil disobedience demonstrations. CT has passed the eternal baton to a new generation of civil rights agitators and organizers. In a statement emailed to Black Press USA, the NBA's Atlanta Hawks expressed their condolences. The Atlanta Hawks organization is deeply saddened by the passing of civil rights movement leader, minister, and author, Dr. Cordy Tyndale C.T. Vivian. The city of Atlanta and the entire world has lost a distinguished icon whose leadership pushed the United States to greater justice and racial equality for African Americans. Team officials wrote in the email. To inspire the next generation, Vivian founded in Atlanta with the intent to create a model of leadership culture in the city that would be dedicated to the development and sustainability of our community. And I mean that wow, that's amazing. So his vision is continuing through his institute, and that's very important. Creating institutions that have longevity. That's wonderful. But I'm gonna stop there. So anybody have a story to share on CT Vivian?
Now I don't really that naturally I don't know who he was, but who is C.T. Gideon? Who was he?
It's
Now,
Vivian, isn't it?
Pardon me?
Vivian, it's C.T. Vivian, isn't it?
yes,
Vivian? Okay.
Meredith mentioned him yesterday, and I understand he's responsible for the Upward Bound program.
that's one thing. Yes. Now here's another thing. Okay, Vivian was born in Boonville, Missouri, in 1924. He and his late wife had 6 children. With the help of his church, he enrolled in American Baptist Theological Seminary in Nashville. Okay, that same year, he founded the Christian Leadership Conference, an affiliate of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Wow. According to the National Visionary Leadership Project, they have organized the city's first sit-in. So he was a part of the, I thought that the sit-in in Nashville. But that's how he got to Nashville from Missouri, was going to seminary.
Oh, okay, okay,
Okay.
okay.
Goes way back.
19.
To 55, 56.
Oh,
I think I had to read a little more on that maybe tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, so who's next?
I'll share a poem,
What's the name of it?
Be the Best of Whatever You Are.
Another student poem?
My mother's.
Oh, very good.
Ready?
Yes, y'all better. I got it in there.
Be the best of whatever you are. If you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a scrub in the valley, but be the best little scrub by the side of the rail. Be a bush if you can. If you can't be a bush, be a bit of the grass and some highway happier make. If you can't be a musket, then just be a bass. Be the liveliest bass in the lake. We can't all be captains. We've got to be crew. There's something for all of us here. There's big work to do, and there's lesser to do. And the task you must do is the near. You can't be a highway and just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. It isn't by size that you win or fall. Be the best whatever you are. And that's Douglas Mallock.
Very, very good inspirational poem. Yes,
Thank
I really enjoyed that.
yes, that was good.
you.
And I think whoever goes
It's
back and looks
motivation.
at this video on YouTube would enjoy it too. As I talk to some people, they go back and they listen to these sessions, which they'll be learning whatever we learning. Great sessions, great readings that's coming out of these sessions. Yeah. Any other questions from Mary or comments?
I have loved that poem by Douglas Mallock from my young days.
Thank
And it's
you.
one of those poems that I have included in many of my speeches when I would be dealing with the different themes. It's just a beautiful poem because it's a character poem.
Right, right.
And it says so much to individuals about life and where it shall carry us. Thank you for that. I've
Thank
not
you.
heard it in a while.
Now, who is the author of it?
Douglas Mallock.
Douglas Mallock.
I've
Douglas
never heard
Mallock.
of him. Oh yeah, I never heard of him. Well, what years was he writing?
What year? I'm not sure. It's an old poem. I'm not sure what year, but my mother has always recited that to us, and we have it. All of my siblings have it framed and up in our house.
Oh,
Wow, that's amazing.
you think about sometime when you doing things that you don't want to do, things that you have to do that you don't want to do. So you have to kind of think stuff like that kind of help to push you forward to be, just don't just throw it up and be haphazard about it. Care about what you're doing.
It's
Yeah.
it's a reminder.
Yeah, be the best of whatever you do. Be the best at it. Uh
Let's see, be the
Yeah.
best little shrub on the side of the road.
huh. Okay. Well, who's next?
Well, okay,
I'll
we're learning about World War II now. World War II was a worldwide conflict between two groups of European powers. One group was led by World War I allies, Great Britain, France, and Russia. The Axis group was led by Germany, Italy, Japan. September 1, 1939, World War II began when Germany attacked Poland after a dispute involving Polish corridor. The United States entered in 1941 as a result of a surprise attack, Pearl Harbor, by the Japanese. They ended in 45 after the atomic bombs were dropped on the cities in Japan. The Black soldiers played a significant role in World War II, added to ranking the civil rights issue. September 14 in 1940, President Franklin Roosevelt signed the Selective Service Act of 40, which stated that there would be no barriers to the training, selection of the men entering the armed services. And 41, A. Philip Randolph, president of the Brotherhood of the Sleeping Car Porters, threatened a march on Washington in an effort to allow Blacks to work in war industries. 90% of the holders of defense contracts used no Black workers, or they confined the Black workers to non-skilled jobs. President Roosevelt, in an attempt to aid the war effort, he appraised the Black population and was forced to act. He issued Executive Order 8202, July 25, 1941. The executive order issued by President required non-discrimination of the class to be included in all defense contracts and established a committee for the fair employment practices to enforce the order. Integration with American service was slow, but the selection of the Black office and assignment of Black personnel improved some of the war. October 25th, 1940, Colonel Benjamin O. Davis, Jr., the highest ranking Black officer in the U.S. Army, was promoted to the Brigadier General. He became the first Black general in American history. Tuskegee Institute, a Black college in Alabama, was selected as the U.S. War Department as a training center for Black pilots entering the U.S. Army Air Corps. Tuskegee Institute, the training approximately 600 Black pilots for the U.S. Army Air Corps during the war. 88 of the pilots were distinguished flying crosses. U.S. Army commissioned over 1,000 Black second lieutenants. Prior to 1942, during World War II, 7,000 Blacks served as officers in the armed forces. The use of Black officers during World War II in general was a use born of necessity as a result of the mounting shortage of officers. Many Black officers were filled with resentment toward the social matrix. They were caused in a confines with subordinates positions were felt they were neither fully officers nor enlisted men, but uniform and symbols doomed to receive. The best grudging acceptance of the office from the superiors and the only token recognition as the officers of their subordinates. I guess that's enough for the morning. We'll finish some more this afternoon.
Okay, and so I was just I heard some stories about black officers in World War II. But what kind of positions did they have in your in the book? The officers. What kind of job assignment did they have?
Well, the officers were the biggest, greater officers was when they was trained as air pilots. But let me see, it was 600 black pilots in the U.S. Air Corps. Let me say it was 1,000 black second lieutenants, 7,000 black served officers in the air forces. That's how many blacks that there were. At the
I mean,
most,
what kind of jobs did they have? What kind of jobs did the officers do that you said that they resented
well,
how they
they
were
resented.
treated?
Okay, it was 7,000 black served as officers. The resentment was the blacks in the service, and the resentment towards the social matrix was the positions that they felt were neither fully officers or enlisted men. The best grudging acceptance of the officers were from superiors, who only token recognition leads to from their subordinates. And it did not give a specific number, but most of the officers that were there at that time were the officers that were training for air pilots. And when the war was began in 39, it did not give an actual number of the officers who were in the war. And in 41, they did not give an exact number of officers who had started in the war in 1941 to 1945. They didn't give an exact number of those officers.
And you also mentioned that A. Philip Randolph, and I can't remember that. It wasn't it Truman who signed the law to let blacks serve work in the defense factory. But also, I was thinking uh, blacks helped win the Civil War, and then it turned around. They didn't want us to work in the factories, give a job, and we started. Once we started working in the factories, we helped get all of the equipment that we needed for the war. And it's like blacks have played such a huge role so many times, and even though they discriminated was when they had lifted it, it came up and helped make the day. I thought
So
huh?
was it World War?
That part comes later in the rest of the chapter about that was what you were talking about in the first chapter. That was not mentioned in the later of the chapter. That was what was mentioned in the later in the final part of the chapter. Then they talk about the Black Women's Corps. Yeah, that was later in the chapter.
Okay, Mary, you had a comment?
No, yeah, I was just wondering, is that where in World War II?
Yeah, World War II.
World War II.
Where the Tuskegee Airmen were being?
Oh yeah, I
Right.
thought about that too, Mary.
That was World War II. And they were trying to train the Tuskegee Airmen. But it was at a time when there was a severe battle, when the black training officers had to go and rescue all of the white officers that was in that particular battle. That was when it was known that the black officers could fly, because they had to go and rescue the white officers. But they were trained over in Tuskegee.
Yeah, that's because they didn't get no heathens from Africa. They got warriors from Africa.
That's right.
Yeah.
Brilliant men and women.
Yeah, the best of
I was going to say that I'm from Detroit. I'm from Detroit, and the first black mayor of Detroit was Coleman Young, and Coleman Young was a Tuskegee Airman.
Oh, wow.
And when I lived in Pennsylvania, we had a neighbor. I was young and just didn't have the sense I have now. He was a Tuskegee Airman. He was an older gentleman. He had been a Tuskegee Airman. And if I had the sense then that I have now, I would have interviewed him. I mean, we was neighborly, you know, we spoke and stuff, but he was a Tuskegee Airman, and it just went all over my head. I knew what it was, but I didn't have appreciation for it then. And he knew Coleman Young.
Because I was just thinking, all the times that I passed through that radio station and saw Mr. Evans and could have get a book from him and get an autograph. I bought one after he passed, and I wish I could have. I think that if somebody's reading it, if you have the opportunity to interview someone or to get an autograph or to learn a story firsthand, take the opportunity. It may be too late.
But you have to get there.
I'm glad you said that.
Right, you have. I was telling Mary about it yesterday. I didn't have the sense then. I mean, we would just talk about little stuff. In fact, in his backyard, he had a golf hole, and he would put a golf ball in his backyard. And I could have also gone over to see Rosa Parks because she lived in Detroit, and Rosa Parks was Rosa Parks Boulevard now was 12th Street, and they changed the name. So you live and learn. You live and learn.
Wow, that is amazing, isn't it? And sometimes we think, oh, that's a a very important person, and we don't realize just listening to their story can change our life. Harry,
Right.
hello.
Right. Hey, Harry.
Hello.
Okay, so Harry is our only Dr. Vincent, and then you can read, and if you want to, you can take us out. So you came right on time. Yeah, thank you for coming. All right, and Janice, you ready? You ready? You reading today, Janice?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Stay
I'm
with
going
us,
to-
Harry.
Yeah. I'm going to share with you one segment of Osceola McCarty's book,
Simple what?
Simple Wisdom for Rich
Wisdom.
Living. Yeah, Simple Wisdom. Again, this is a younger picture of her.
With her uniform on.
And of course, this is the older picture. Could you see it?
Yes.
Hold it up a little closer. And up a little bit. Yeah. It looks like she got a book or a Bible in her hand. Which is it?
Huh?
Is that
Yeah,
a book?
she's got a Holy Bible in her hand.
Okay.
She does. So the segment of the book I'm going to read regarding simple wisdom for rich living is called On Work. On Work. Through unfortunate circumstances, at least unfortunate by most of the people's standards, Osceola McCarty became involved in the family laundry business at age 8. Although that involvement cost Miss McCarty a formal education, it instilled in her a work ethic that she never abandoned. For almost 80 years, she actually took pride in doing laundry. I have heard her describe in almost poetic terms the laundry process of her daily routine. That is Miss Maggio speaking about her. When I was working, this is Osceola McCarty, I would wake up at 7. I would go outside and start building a fire under my wash pot. Then I would soak, wash, and boil a bundle of clothes. Then I would rub them, rinse them, rub them again, starch them, and hang them on the line. After I had all the clean clothes on the line, I would start on the next batch. By the time they were finished washing, the clothes on the line would be dry. I'd take them down and pile them up in the house, on the beds, or wherever there was an open spot. Well, I would wash all day, and in the evenings I would iron until 11 o'clock. I loved the work, the bright fire, wrenching the wet, clean cloth, white shirts shining on the line. Apparently, some of her customers hold her work in similar esteem. I know one person who still has several shirts that were last cleaned almost 2 years ago by Miss McCarty. He says that he does not intend to wear them. He just takes them out periodically to look at them and to enjoy the crisp fabric and its scent. That's Paul Laughlin talking. Paul Laughlin is vice president and trust officer at Trustmark Bank in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. He was the first person in whom McCarty confided her plans for establishing the scholarship. He continues to assist her with some of her financial decisions and much of her correspondence. Remember, this was back in 1994. We're talking somewhere back in a few decades before that time, and when all of this was taking place. Hard work gives life meaning. Everyone needs to work hard at something to feel good about themselves. Every job can be done well, and every day has its satisfaction. I knew there were people who didn't have to work as hard as I did, but it didn't make me feel sad. I loved to work. And when you love to do anything, those things don't bother you. I just loved the work. I was working to have my own things, whatever it was. If it wasn't nothing but a piece of paper, that's just my makeup. I wanted something of my own. A sense of ownership was my satisfaction. So I will stop there in terms of her first chapter in her book regarding work. And then this afternoon, I'll go to another segment of the book or continue this chapter.
Every day has its
Thank you,
satisfaction.
thank you,
I like that.
That's
I
so
like that.
positive.
thank you.
Yeah, she seemed like
Yeah,
such an
Is there a chart in there? Is there something in there to say how much she charged for her work? Because I know she wasn't doing it for the money. So I'm just saying, we're talking about from what you say, 1908. When did she start?
Yeah,
she was like
was born in
1916, I think it was.
And she started very young.
It was like 1916.
As a child, around the age 8 or something like that, a little before age 8, I believe. No, nothing is in here about how much she earned as far as each person. It doesn't tell that, like 50 cents a day or nothing like that in the book. And so I will research and see if I can find something this afternoon to satisfy that question. Yeah.
Okay.
But I like that. Each day has its own satisfaction.
Yes,
That's the powerful statement.
Yes. Yeah.
That's something to think about.
Yeah.
And that goes back to Mary poem.
Yes.
Good at what you do. And
yes, absolutely, absolutely. Okay. So Harry, do you have any questions or comments before you start reading?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So what are you reading today?
No and the or.
Hold it up for me. Oh. Okay.
After Adam and Eve were banished from Eden, mankind began to multiply all around the earth. But man grew more and more evil, and his wickedness angered God. God began to regret making the beautiful world, and we and he was very sorry that he had made man. Then God decided it was time to destroy, making the making an end to the wickedness that man brought forth. But there was one man who pleased God, who who to get and deed who does and deeds were good. His name was Noah. That's when Noah, the evil on earth can't continue. A great flood will come and destroy all living things. God told Noah to build an ark made of good timber. When the flood would come, Noah, his wife, and 3 sons would be saved. So Noah told his sons Shem, Ham, and Joseph that they would help build the ark. And when the ark was done, God spoke to Noah, "Take 2 of every kind of living creature, animals, birds, and all creeping things, male and female, and bring them with you onto the ark." The Lord God told Noah to bring food for 40 days and 40 nights. God had decided to make a great rainstorm that would flood the earth. Noah said, "No." So Noah gathered 2 of every animal he could find until they were all safe together in the ark. Noah led his wife and sons into the ark and closed the doors behind them. The people outside laughed at Noah and his ark. But Noah trusted God and waited for the promised flood. 7 days later, it began to rain. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. The water grew higher and higher, destroyed all wicked of the world. Soon there was nothing and no one left alive in the world except for Noah and his family and the animals on the ark. And when the rain finally stopped, Noah looked out out at the earth. He saw a flood rising higher and higher until mountains were covered with the water. The ark floated up the earth for 150 days, and all the 7 mountains were subdued. Its rest upon the mountain of Ararat, but God did not forget Noah, for he sent a wind across the waters until the flood began to go down, and soon the mountains could be seen again. Noah sent a dove free to see if it was safe to open the ark. But the dove could not find a place to rest, and returned to the ark. 7 days later, Noah sent the dove out again. That evening, she returned with an olive leaf in her mouth. Noah knew the flood had finally ended. The dove Noah waited 7 days and sent the dove out much more. This time she did not return. Now Noah knows that the water has dried, so he let out his wife and his son and all the birds and other animals in the ark. Noah built a great altar to God and made offering to God, smoke to him once more. God said, while the earth remains seed time and harvest, summer and winter and night and day shall not stop. Never again shall I send such a flood to destroy the earth. And God sent a wonderful rainbow as a sign of his promise to Noah. To this day, man and all living things flourish on the earth. The end.
Good.
Thank you, Harry. Um,
Very good.
yeah,
Good job. Thank you very much.
I have to ask you a question, Harry.
That's all.
Can you tell me a few of the animals that went on the ark, and also what was the purpose of the rainbow?
A tiger was on the ark, cows, giraffe, elephants, a leopard, zebra, and that's pretty much it. And
what was
sheep.
And what was the purpose of the rainbow?
That God will never flood the earth again.
Okay, that was a very good a story. I'm glad to hear it again. Yeah.
And
I
there's
learned
more
the song when
stories.
I was a kid. I learned the song when I was a kid talking about Noah's Ark and the animals, they came on by Tuesdays, animals, they came on by Tuesdays, elephants and kangaroos, and a buffalo.
Now,
Very
Harry,
good.
Harry, what level is that? You trying to show us what level the book is.
No, there's different books.
Oh,
There's
different.
Joseph in Egypt, Joseph.
It's a series.
There's no
So guess what, Harry?
Moses, David, and Goliath, King Solomon, the story of Jesus.
So I guess what, Harry? You read? I think you read at least 28 books during our virtual reading fair. That's pretty commendable.
And haven't missed one.
That's right. Perfect attendance.
All right.
That's right.
We are so proud of you, Harry.
Well, all right then. So, Harry, are you ready to take us out of here? And the next one, this is day 15, and the next one is at 2:15.
16. Day 16.
Huh?
16.
No, I mean, the next reading session is at 2:15, and today is day 15,
Oh,
right?
yeah, I'm sorry. Think about this morning.
Did you hear that, Harry?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, take us out of here.
Thank you for attending this Zoom. I hope you can attend the next Zoom evening session, day 15. Thank you for attending this Zoom.
Thank you. All right. I'll see you guys at 2:15. I'm getting ready to upload the video to YouTube and to the Facebook page and the Twitter page. All right. See you guys later. Thanks a lot.
You all have a good one.
Okay.
See you later.
All right. See y'all
See you later.
later. All right. Bye-bye.